Welcome to the Healthcare Technology Report, a leading information source on healthcare technology companies and solutions. Today, we speak with JP Vert, co-founder and CEO of Bioptimus, an AI-first biotech company building foundation models to transform biology and accelerate biomedical innovation. Bioptimus integrates multiscale data, cutting-edge compute, and secure data access to create a universal model of biology that can fuel scientific discovery in advanced medicine. JP has over 25 years of experience at the intersection of machine learning and life sciences. Before Bioptimus, he was Chief R&D Officer at Owkin and a research lead at Google Brain, and earlier built his career in academia as a professor and researcher in computational biology. He has authored more than 190 scientific publications and is a member of the National Academy of Technologies of France. I'm your host, RJ Lumba. We hope you enjoy the show. If you like the episode, click to follow. JP, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. It's a delight to be with you.
Well, thanks for having me here. Great to talk to you.
It's not every day that we have on the podcast someone deep into biotechnology and data and AI. So maybe where we could start so that our audience can best understand context is to tell us about where Bioptimus sits within this overall landscape of biotech, AI, and data.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the question. So I would say Bioptimus, if you had to simplify a bit, positions itself at the level of building a horizontal platform, a bit like you would say an OpenAI builds GPT or Anthropic builds Cause. They build a technology that then is used by many users, many companies, useful use cases. And so Bioptimus is doing the same, but instead of training AI, LLMs, to speak the human language, it builds an AI to speak the biology language. So think of it as learning from data to understand biology. This is encapsulated into a software, so an AI system that then we sell to customers, so pharma companies, biotech companies, medical labs, that borrow it in order to build use cases. And use cases go from diagnostic systems, so to identify patients that would respond to a treatment or patients with a disease, up to drug discovery, like identifying what would be a good treatment for a given disease.
So is it the case that anyone in, say, the pharma field could tap into one of your models and simply type a question, obviously relevant to the work they were doing, and they would get an answer?
I think we're not there yet because overall the field is less advanced, I would say, that other applications, in particular in the capacity to interact in human language and correctly answer questions. Where we are today, so we, and I would say the field overall, is about still building the foundations, meaning still training AI systems that start learning how biology works.
Mm-hmm.
By that, I mean, it's about, okay, you show to your system millions or billions of images of cells or tissues or cancer samples. And after showing billions of them, the system learns by itself subtle differences between cancers, between tissues, between cells, in order to be able then to predict, for example, how a patient would respond to a treatment. So today we don't have the system ready yet. It's being built, but eventually it will come. And I think probably we will not have a generic system that can answer all questions. At least in the foreseeable future, we have a system that still needs to be what's called fine-tuned, so specialized, as soon as the user has a specific question. So to be a bit concrete, we have systems today, for example, that are on the market, that we release, that are open source and commercial versions, that have been trained to read specific types of images used in cancer diagnosis. It's called pathology images. And so what our system does is you show it an image. Suppose you have a patient, you take a biopsy to check if there is cancer, and it leads to an image. So you show the image to our system, and our system today can capture the content of the image into numbers, right? It's called the encoding of the image. But then if you want to ask a question like, okay, can you tell me this patient, what's the subtype of the disease, or what's the genetic abnormality, etc., our system does not answer it yet, but it can be trained to do so. And so this is the post-training that we do every day to be able to answer specific questions.
Mm-hmm. This interpreting of the image relies on a lot of prior data, I assume. What data do you tap into? And is this part of your proprietary technology, is that you do have access to these libraries of data?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great point. So short answer is yes, we do have access to proprietary data, and this is needed. So maybe to give some context, I mean, everyone hears about LLMs and companies, training LLM on lots of data. When we talk of LLMs, most of the big models today are trained on the same data, which is basically all the web, right? So you go to the web, you have text, you have images. So you can download it. Some companies have specific data, but overall it's common resource, right? Now, if you want to do a similar approach, but train your system not on the web, but on genomes, on patient records, on images, then there is no web anymore. The data is, depending on the modality, the data is in hospitals, is in companies, is in research centers, etc. And so it's harder to access the data. And BioOptimus started with the clear vision that we are the ones building the model, but to get the data, we do partnerships. And so we started very quickly with partnerships. Actually, we started with a specific partnership with a company named Owkin that has built the world's largest atlas of cancer. So it's several thousands of patients with very deep characterization. So not only images, but sequencing, etc., DNA. And this is a proprietary data set that Bioptimus has access to. And on top of that, Bioptimus has made deals, so with a variety of labs, companies, to be able to access data to train the model. Mm-hmm. So it's a long answer to say, yes, data is key and it's hard to get, and it's fully part of Bioptimus strategy to have a diversified source of data through partnerships. We are also now starting data generation. So this is, again, through partnerships with hospitals and other companies that we fund data generation to increase even more the amount and quality of data we train from.
Mm-hmm. So fast forwarding to a time where, all the pharma companies that in drug development, all the biotech companies need your platform, or perhaps you're the leading competitor in this space. They would want to use BioOptimus because they know when they type in or when they start to use your platform, you would give them the most sophisticated output, meaning you're tapping into the largest libraries of data and giving them the most accurate and advanced responses. Is that how you think about it? Like, it'd be difficult for a competitor to replicate what you're doing because of two reasons: the data that you have access to, as well as that you're way ahead in terms of having trained your models.
So yes, and there is also something else. So coming back to what you say, so yes, we are playing, there are competitors, but as I said, we have released already some products, which it's a bit like LLMs, there are tons of benchmarks, compare models, etc. There are quite a few benchmarks where our models are clearly leading, like from an image, can you predict patient characteristics, or can you predict the presence of proteins? We are very, very strong on that. So that's one reason why a customer will use our model, because it's the best in class. Now, the second feature, which is coming, is that we are building something that does not exist, which is a foundation model that can read not a single modality, like not only images or not only genomes, but that can have a global view of all of the data. And so it has new capabilities that don't exist today in any other competitors, which is, for example, you give me the image of a patient, and our model will be able to predict the activity of the genes or the evolution of the trajectory of the patients subject to different scenarios, etc. So I would say these are things, of course, we need to build them, but this is at the core of Bioptimus strategy to not focus on just an AI system for image or just an AI system to discuss with the doctor, but a set of new capabilities that emerge when you train a system from diversified data, not only in terms of different patients, but different modalities of input, images, genomes, spatial proteomics, etc. This will be the most differentiating factor in the future.
Mm-hmm. And then do you foresee others building on top of your model? So like, in essence, a new company could be started that's based on BioOptimus as the foundation layer.
Absolutely. I think it's very clear that the market is converging to, let's say, companies optimizing what they're good at. So I think today you still have, many companies trying to train foundation models as soon as they have data, but very quickly they realize they need more data, then it's expensive, etc. And so it's easier to buy than to build at some point. So clearly we position ourselves as the builders of the foundation model. And for many companies, it will be easy to buy our models in order to build something else on top of it. Just like for LLMs, right? You have the OpenAI, Anthropic, Mistral, etc., that build these LLMs. And then you have zillions of companies that pay the API in order to build services, use cases on top of it. So I expect many companies, and including new companies, to build fancy things on top of the models we build. What we build is, let's say, the computational world model of biology. It's a system that can read data, that can simulate data, that can predict data, and then companies will build on top of it. Yes.
Now, you have a very deep background, educational and also corporate in your field. Maybe for the benefit of our audience, tell us a little bit about your background, leading up to co-founding BioOptimus.
Yeah, sure. So myself, initially, I'm a scientist. I started with a PhD in mathematics. Then I was professor, so research professors for about 20 years, so in university. And I've always worked in machine learning, so the former name of AI, and applications in biology, computational biology. So I did that for quite a few years, training PhD students, writing research papers, etc. Then after some time, I left academia to join the industry. And my first step in industry was at Google. So I spent a few years in Google research. I think it was great in Google Brain. So the great time where transformers were invented, where all the field grew. I learned a lot there. But then I left Google to join Owkin, which is an American-French unicorn developing AI applications for drug discovery and development. So I've been leading the research of Owkin for a few years. And from Owkin, we created, and I left Owkin to join full-time Bioptimus as CEO. So that's my story. So I'm super happy about the team we have recruited at Bioptimus as well, which is a mix of former Google DeepMind colleagues, pharma veterans, startups veterans as well.
And did you recruit the folks? How did the group come together?
We're a co-founding team, and the group came together just when we decided, we had the idea to explore this opportunity. So actually about 2 years ago in 23, this is a few months after the world was stunned by ChatGPT. And like everyone, like any company, I was in Owkin and we explored, well, what does it mean for us? Can we do things that do not exist? And very quickly we converged to this idea, yes, someone has to build this equivalent of GPT, but to understand, not to speak or write, but to understand, to read biomedical data. So I think, the idea came together and the group came together quite easily because it's a fascinating topic, exciting topic. And we managed to raise money to start a business quite fast as well.
And you've got great investors backing you with Sofinnova and Cathay. Can you tell us about how that partnership came about and why you selected those investors?
Yeah, sure. So I think with Sofinnova, Sofinnova led a seed round, so early 24, and early 25, we had a Series A led by Cathay Innovation. I think Sofinnova, the contact was very good from the beginning. We were funded by digital medicine funds. So Sofinnova is traditionally a biotech-oriented VC fund, but they have raised this money for digital medicine, so exploring the new ways, to impact biotech medicine. And I think, yes, we had very good contact and very aligned vision about, okay, we need to bet on something big, which is let's bet on building these AI models that we know. I mean, I hope it will be us, but no matter what, we are certain that AI will impact pharma, will impact biotech. And AI means someone has to build these foundation models in order to develop the AI on top of it. So I think the vision, we had a very good long-term vision with Sofinnova. Plus, for us, it was very good to have access to the network of Sofinnova, for people, for business, etc. Then second time, we raised a round led by Cathay Innovation. So here we were very happy about the technology vision. So Cathay is really an international fund focusing on growing tech approaches that impact business, impact society. And I think for us, it was very interesting to have access to their experience and again, align vision on how from this technology piece that we have, we can grow and scale.
Excellent. We're coming up on time. I do have two final questions. One is, can you tell us about a person who has had a profound influence on you?
Well, that's a tricky question. There are so many. I will name probably some high school professors. I come from a family which is, there is no scientist, there is no engineer, there is, normal family. And I think the school system is what brought me to science, to entrepreneurship as well. So I think the education, it's hard to name one single professor, but I would say the sequence of professors I had in high school and university are the ones who helped me see the world differently.
Excellent. Last question. Can you tell us about a charity, cause, or other endeavor that you're passionate about?
Oh, there are as well plenty. Maybe I can name one. I did work actually with a French NGO called Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières. They really try to bring medicine to the people who need it and who don't have access to it. And I remember working with them on some, developing systems on smartphones to help diagnosis and also to predict antibiotics resistance, in countries. So, I really love what they do because they bring good to the world. And also I think the mindset to say, well, there are lots of things in medicine we can do in New York, in Paris. But as soon as you go to a refugee camp or low-income country, you need to cure people with different tools. Like you have a smartphone, you have a technician, how do you do it? I personally was very excited and I saw the world a bit differently in terms of how technology can impact and change the world working with them.
Fantastic. Well, JP, want to thank you again for taking the time. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you so much.